Hi, this is Mrs. Carnes. This video is going to be about two lines and a transversal. We are going to identify what a transversal is, and then we're going to look at pairs of angles that are formed when a transversal intersects two lines. By definition, a transversal is a line that intersects two coplanar lines at two distinct points. So we know that a transversal is a line. And so on this picture, we see three lines. We see line A, line B, and line T. So to know which one is the transversal, we have to continue on with our definition. It's going to be the line that intersects two coplanar lines at 2 points. So when you look at line A only intersects one other line, and line B only intersects one other line. And so neither A or B can be your transversal. So that leaves us with T as our transversal because it intersects line A and line B at those two distinct points. Now what you want to notice is when this happens, when a transversal intersects two lines, 8 angles are formed. There's 4 angles that are formed when the transversal crosses the first line, and then there are 4 more angles formed when the transversal crosses the second line. We're going to take a look at these pairs of angles that are formed and see what happens when a transversal crosses two lines. Before we can do that, we're going to have to understand the difference between interior and exterior when we're looking at a transversal intersecting two different lines. When you look at this picture, we can see that interior means in between, and so this would be the interior of our picture, and the opposite would be the exterior. This piece and this piece would be considered the exterior of our picture. Now this is going to become important when we start talking about these pairs of angles because some of them are going to be inside and some of them are going to be outside. The first special pair of angles that we see in this picture is what we call corresponding angles. Now corresponding angles are going to be in a similar position when you talk about this picture, but they're going to be on the same side of the transversal. So if we're on the same side of the transversal, we would be looking at these angles 1, 4, 5, and 8, or we would be looking at these angles 2, 3, 6, and 7. To be in similar positions, we would take a look at the angles that are on top of line A, which is angle 1, and the angle that's on top of line B, which is angle 5, and that's how we come up with corresponding angles. They're in similar positions, but on the same side of the transversal. So angle 1 and angle 5 are considered corresponding. Again, angle 4 and angle 8 are considered corresponding because they're on the same side of the transversal and their angles are both below their lines that they're with. We could also go to the other side of the transversal and we would have angle 2 and angle 6 are considered corresponding, and then angle 3 and angle 7 are considered corresponding. The next set of pair of angles that we're going to talk about is called alternate interior angles. Now the word alternate means on one or the other. It's going to be on different sides in this case. And then interior, we know, means between the two lines. So by definition, alternate interior angles are non-adjacent angles that lie on opposite sides of the transversal between the two lines. So again, alternate means opposite. Interior implies in between. The only thing you have to know about alternate interior angles is that they are non-adjacent angles, meaning they are not next to each other. So if I choose opposite sides of the transversal between the two lines, I would look at these angles are between the two lines, and then alternate sides. You've got 4. Now 4 and 3 are on alternate sides, but they are adjacent angles. They're right next to each other. So those are not alternate interior. They have to be non-adjacent. So we would say angle 4 and angle 6 are alternate interior angles, and angle 3 and angle 5 are alternate interior angles. They are on alternate sides of the transversal, but in between the two lines. 4 and 6 on alternate sides of the transversal, but in between the two lines. Same side interior. Interior again means on the inside of the two lines. Now this time, same side is going to be on the same side of the transversal. So they have to be on the same side of the transversal and in between the two lines. So we would say that that is angle 4 and angle 5 are same side interior, and angle 3 and angle 6 are same side interior. Let's take a look at a next set. The next pair, we move to alternate exterior. Now we once again remind ourselves that alternate means on opposite sides of the transversal. Exterior now means on the exterior of the two lines. And once again, they must be non-adjacent angles. So we look at the exterior angles, 1, 2, and 7, 8. We choose angles that are on opposite sides of the transversal that are not next to each other. So alternate exterior angles in this picture would be angle 1 and angle 7. They're on alternate sides of the transversal and the exterior of the lines. And the other pair would be angles 2 and 8. Those are your pairs of alternate exterior angles. And finally, we have same side exterior angles. So again, same side means same side of the transversal. Exterior means the outside of the lines. And so we would have outside of the lines, same side of the transversal would give us angle 1 and angle 8 are same side exterior, and angle 2 and angle 7 are same side exterior. Now, you've taken a look at all the different types of pairs of angles that are formed when a transversal is cut by two, or is cutting two lines. Let's go ahead and see what this could look like in different pictures. So our picture doesn't always have to be just two lines and a transversal. Take a look at this first diagram here. In this picture, there's lots of things going on. Line C could be a transversal because it cuts A and B. And you'll see that there's 8 angles formed here, 4 here, and 4 here. But we could also use line B as a transversal because it cuts C and A, and these would be our angles that we would be talking about. We could also use line A as the transversal because it's cutting lines C and B, and then these would be the angles we would be talking about. So the pictures can get quite complicated. Sometimes it's helpful to cover up one area of your picture so that you can't see it, so all you're looking at are the 8 angles that they're asking you about. Take a look at the second diagram. In this picture, too, we have parallel lines. Let me draw this a little bit better for you. If these lines we are talking about here, they could be cut by this line as the transversal. Or we could have here's the lines, and this could be the transversal. So there's lots of different ways we can look at our picture. Similarly, with the last picture here, the trapezoid, we again could have 2 lines like this being cut by this transversal, and the 8 angles would be those 8 angles right in there. So it's very important that you can understand that it doesn't have to look exactly like 2 lines being cut by a third being the transversal. There can be many different ways this can look.